Welcome back to my channel, Trying Recipes to Conquer. So today I'm going to be making chicken noodle soup for the first time. I've never actually made any kind. Well, I did make butternut squash soup once. Well, it was really a bisque. But anyways, I'm going to be making it myself. And I already have here carrots and celery and onion, all the way back here, nicely diced. I have more onions diced than celery and carrots, but let's see how it goes. I have some oil, some olive oil actually heating up in this Dutch oven pan. I'm going to be cooking my chicken first. Alright, so I rinsed off my chicken and patted it dry. I'm just going to season my chicken lightly with some salt and pepper. My oil is already hot, so I need to get going. Cook this chicken until done. I got a really nice recipe from Food Wishes. Just love his personality. If you haven't checked him out, I'll put a link. Let me just put them back below. He's got some pretty awesome recipes. He's been on the YouTube food game for a long time. So, alright, so I'm just going to go ahead and cook this through and I'll be back. Alright, so it's been about 15 minutes. I'm assuming that it should be cooked already. And it's reading the temperature, so... Alright, so I'm going to go ahead and remove them. And in the recipe that I'm following, he actually did his own chicken broth with the chicken that he used. Definitely a little different. Alright, so it says here to melt butter in pot. About a couple of tablespoons. And he definitely, in the process of making his chicken broth and cooking the chicken, he saved some of the fat from the chicken to use in the recipe. So that's why I'm like, you know what, I didn't know to cook ahead the chicken and do my own chicken broth and all that stuff. I was just planning to use store-bought chicken broth and cook my chicken at the same time. So, kind of improvise with time and everything. That's why I'm doing it this way, cooking it in the same pot. Dutch oven made the chicken hopefully cook faster. And the fat of the chicken that was cooked in here is already in there. So hopefully that works just as good. Okay, so it says to throw in the veggies. Keep it on medium heat, which is already on medium heat. I'm just going to throw all of it. Because I'm sure what's going to happen is that the onion is going to probably dissolve in there, most of it at least. And he says to cook this down here for about 6 minutes or so until the onions are translucent and carrots and the celery's kind of soften a bit. Definitely he seasoned it with a little bit of salt. He said a pinch, but not too much. And some pepper. I like a lot of pepper, so I'm like. And I'm also sprinkling in a little bit of thyme. He said just a little bit, not too much, so that's what I did there. Alright. Smells good. Okay, so just kind of stirring occasionally. So I'm just going to go ahead and let that cook for that 6 minutes and I'll be done. Here's a nice close-up of the veggies. He says to keep it as simple as possible. Again, all that's in there is a little bit of butter, some of that chicken fat, salt, pepper, some of the thyme herb. And that is it, along with the carrots and the onions and the celery. And we're going to throw in the chicken and the broth and the noodles. Good to go. It is smelling so good. I did taste the onion and the celery and the carrots, and it's not really that salty, so I'm going to add a little bit of salt to it and a little bit more pepper because the broth that I'm using is this one here. It is a chicken bone broth. It's low sodium, so probably not going to have a lot of flavor itself. So, and this recipe actually requires 8 cups of broth. So, go ahead and add that. Just a little bit more. We want that guy to taste good. Alright. Good stir. The onions could still use a little bit more, so I'm actually going to give it a couple more minutes before adding the broth. I want my, veggies to be slightly tender, not crunchy. Alright, so I think it's that time to throw in my broth. And while I was waiting for my vegetables to get to where I want them to be, I did start chopping up my chicken. A very simple, bite size. Some nice bite-sized pieces would be good. There we go. Alright. Shake it really good. Whoops! Yeah, you want to dump no top in there. Alright. And then one of these here is only 4 cups, I believe it said. And I had some frozen from another time, so I melted it down on this pot, and I'm just going to go ahead and throw that in there. Alright, and that should do it. Alright, so next thing is to bring it to high heat, to bring it to a nice boil. Once it starts to boil, then it's time to throw in the noodles. And he suggested to use egg noodles. Luckily I did have egg noodles. So perfect. This one says no yolks though, but it has it's made out of egg whites. So this is perfect. So I'm going to use that. And he says to only use about 4 ounces. I'm going to try to use half of this bag, which would be 6 ounces. But again, he says that the ratio is pretty important, so I guess I'll just eyeball it. Alright, so I'm just going to continue cutting up my chicken. Not bad, guys. I think it's actually super quick. I don't even know why before I was thinking that chicken soup was like difficult. I have avoided making chicken noodle soup pretty much all my life. But now I know how to make my own. Perfect. Alright, so I just tasted my broth and it basically doesn't taste like there's any salt at all. I don't know if that was, I don't know. I'm going to throw in some salt. The one thing I do remember him saying, taste your broth before throwing in the noodles, because you don't want to throw in your noodles on non-flavored liquid, because then they're just not going to taste it. my god, there's like no flavor at all. Wow. I'm gonna need a mountain of salt. Hold on. I'm going to use different salt. Maybe it will be more powerful. And I remember that he threw in some cayenne as well. I don't want mine spicy though, so I'm not gonna do that. Oh my god. It still needs salt. I don't understand. He must have used, like, his broth must have been already flavored and salted, because he didn't really add a lot of salt. Wow. Alright, so it's already boiling. A little bit better. Alright, so I'm going to go ahead and throw in my noodles. Again, just half. Oh. Alright, it says to cook the noodles down for about 5 minutes, but let me see my instructions for this one here. My noodles instructions basically says to cook them for 10 minutes, so I guess it just depends on the noodles you're using. He was using some like fresh noodles, and those fresh noodles, like literally, it looked like he handmade them. But that literally cooks like in no time. So do pay attention to the instructions of your own noodles. Comes to ratio, I'm thinking that's fine. Because I am going to be throwing in my chicken. So yeah, I'm going to leave it. I think I did. I put half. Probably put more. I want to put this cup back. So yeah, that was about half. Alright, so it's been that 10 minutes. I reduced the heat on there to like low. And I'm just going to throw in the chicken. And since the chicken is literally already cooked, just leave it there for another couple minutes. Make sure that, you know, the flavors of the soup kind of incorporates on there. And that's it. Ready to serve. And one of the suggestions that he said was do not garnish or anything like that. You'll just ruin it. Just keep chicken noodle soup simple. And I like that, guys. I like that a lot. So, now that my chicken is in there, and this is a nice hearty soup too. Like, look at that. I think it's perfect proportion for me because I don't like too much liquid on my soup. So I'm like, this is actually perfect. Like, perfect. Perfect ratios of everything. So I'm happy. I'm going to go ahead and let it sit there for a couple minutes. And then I'm going to go ahead and plate up and taste it, guys. All right. It's time to plate up. It just looks so good. Let me do a close-up. I just had to do a close-up. Look at that. It's beautiful. Hearty. Beautiful. I cannot wait to try it. It's hot. It's hot though, guys. Mmm. Mmm. Oh yeah, this is perfect. It came out, even though it looked like I was putting a lot of salt, it's literally perfect. It's not too salty, it's not lacking anything. The vegetables are nice and tender. The noodles are perfect. They are literally al dente. I am going to take this out from here so they don't get like super soft. Take it off the heat. But wow guys, this is so good. Seriously, chicken noodle soup is a comfort food. So I'm so happy that I know how to do it now. So thank you so much for watching. Till next time.